Good morning.
Good morning.
It's been a funny old week. Yeah. Well, I had the COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, very mildly. So all okay. And poor little Bailey's little legs are quivering.
Yeah, it's not too healthy.
No.
Not doing too good.
He's not doing very well. He's got a bit. He's always had a bit of arthritis, but I think it's getting quite bad now, isn't it? His little legs are going a bit splatty, so he's getting a lot of carries now. He has to be carried on and off the boat, doesn't he? Bless him.
Up and down the stairs.
Yeah. So.
Poor sausage.
Yeah, he's got doggy drugs, so hopefully he'll feel a bit better soon. So we're heading to another uncharted territory, somewhere we've not been before.
No. Thought we'd pop down.
Pop down, risk it for that biscuit.
There's not much. Well, hopefully there's no risk.
Yeah.
Only going for a cruise. Jeez.
And we're not gonna go on the tidal Thames.
No.
Because that's a little bit scary, but we're gonna go.
Not today. We haven't got time.
No, we're gonna go as far as. So we're gonna go to Teddington Lock. And have a little look at what flows the other side.
Have a little look, yeah, have a little walk.
On that river.
Well, it's a bit chilly, but it's not too cold and there's no wind, so it's
and we're
not a bad
sporting our
day.
new hats as well.
Christmas hat.
So yeah, Teddington Lock, here we come. Just like always, out of the marina, straight into another rowing race.
Yeah.
Honestly, you just couldn't write it, could you?
No,
Literally.
straight out. Man with his
Big megaphone saying, barge, barge, please stick to the navigation route.
Again.
So let's see what today brings for us.
Yeah.
So there's not just one of us on the Thames, as in these types of boats. There's two. We've just gone past our, we sort of call it our sister boat, don't we?
Yeah, same colours.
Same colours as ours, and I think it was Bill or just before.
I think it was
ours.
the one before ours, yeah.
And she was moored up at Hampton Court, so just gave them a wave.
Very clean.
Yeah. Not cleaner than ours.
Yeah, I think we're out a lot more than them.
Yeah.
Mind you, they live on an island.
They do. They've got a very nice location.
Spot.
Yeah.
Just moor it in your back garden.
So, coming up to Kingston, so then not long to go and we'll be at Teddington. Consulted the Book of Lies, as we referred to it last week, and says there's no mooring at Teddington, but
apparently all Kingston.
But there definitely
There's
is.
two at Kingston.
Yeah, because we've
the council one and the environmental agency one.
Yeah, so we'll need to get our pen at the ready to mark down where there actually is moorings at Teddington. If not, we'll be turning around.
Turn around and come back to Kingston.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll stop down there.
Yeah.
Tied to a tree.
So let's see if there is actually any moorings, hopefully. I think somebody commented to you on Facebook that you was asked if there were any moorings and they said yes, on the river.
On the river. Okay.
Thank you for that helpful tip. We're off to explore what Teddington Lock has to offer. Yeah, and we've just realised that the tide must be quite low.
I'll show you the lock landing.
Yeah, because we just realised that we're actually standing what would be underwater. That's the lock landing.
Yeah.
So this
We're on low tide.
would literally be underwater.
And if you come this way, you see the mark here. Look, up here.
So we moored at Teddington last night with permission from the harbour master,
Yeah.
which was very nice.
We weren't really meant to moor there. We were off at the end of the lock landing on the grass because we didn't want to go down into the lock and then have to try and turn around and come back out again. So we sort of moored up there, and you're not really meant to.
No.
You can stay, well, apparently you can stay there for an hour. But yeah, I had a chat with the harbour master and he said, no, that's fine, stay the night.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
And we'll tell you a little bit more about Teddington Lock in a minute, but we just
Knowing our luck.
encountered a whole
Fleet
of sailboats on our way back, literally just a couple of minutes down the river, and they were just everywhere. There was no way to get through.
That was about 30, wasn't it? It must have been about 30. Apparently it was a race.
It was a race, but it's the slowest race in the world.
We'd actually stopped in the middle of the river and there was boats next to us not going anywhere. It's like, oh, now what?
And I'm at the front of the boat on the bow and trying to sort of see if there's a clear path to get through, which there wasn't. I don't know how long we've been sat there.
We were there about 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, and then Richard called me on his radio and said, look here, look down here. So I peeped over the boat, and Richard literally had a sailboat on his bottom.
He was.
Pretty much.
The sail was across the back window and he'd crashed into the button mushroom bumper thing on the back of the boat. Even though we'd been stood still for about 10 minutes. And it was like,
We were
okay.
literally sort of towing a sailboat.
And we were just stood still. I couldn't put it in gear and start moving. We might have blasted him over. It was like, oh, they were sort of pushing themselves off and laughing. It was funny.
Yeah.
It was hilarious, wasn't it?
They all said thank you because we sort of hovered for quite a long
Ages.
time. It's just really difficult because you don't know what their intentions are.
One boat's going to us, just go, they'll get out of your way. And it's like, well, they haven't moved for 5 minutes, so no one's getting out of the way, are they?
No.
I was like, I can't fit through there. We got not like a little speedboat. We can nip through.
I think people see a big boat and they think we can really like hammer it.
Just
but it's a
zipping it
canal
out.
boat,
It's like,
it's
no,
not
it
really
doesn't
built for
really
speed.
do that. And then we got a gap, and the woman's going, come down this side and nail it, and the bloke's going, no, go straight. It was like, oh, it's just madness. So we followed the instructions of the woman on the boat and nailed it and went round, just about got round them all, didn't we?
Sailboat soup.
It was funny. We always cause chaos.
We do. Well, it wasn't us, it was them.
We always find chaos.
We find chaos.
We're a chaos magnet. Captain Chaos.
So obviously one day we might do a bit of the tidal Thames. So the whole point of going up to Teddington Lock was to have a look and sort of find out how it worked. Biggest lock I have ever seen.
Huge.
Absolutely massive.
Wasn't any wider, was it, than any of the other Thames locks?
No,
really?
but the length, honestly, you can
Massive.
pack in so many boats.
Oh yeah.
And Richard, well, both of us, we sort of walked along to the end to where you'd go on to the next stretch of the river, and the lock landing
In the tidal side.
in the tidal side, the lock landing was way up above our heads.
It was about 10 foot up.
Yeah,
You got a picture, haven't you? Showed a
yeah.
picture. It was massive.
we were just like, oh my goodness, is that how high the tide rises? But you actually found out a bit of information by seeing the
having a
lock keeper this morning. morning.
chat with him early this morning. So I went down because I wanted to see if it was like high tide right up there, thinking, oh, this will be good, and it was the same. Apparently it only comes up about 18 inches at the moment, which isn't exciting.
No.
We were expecting all sorts, but on a spring tide it can go right up there and even come over the weir and start back feeding up the Thames. And that's when they start closing the Thames barrier at the other end to stop all the rest of the Thames all flooding. That's good to know.
And didn't you say there's actually 3 locks there?
There's 3 locks there. That massive one that we looked at, is that the barge lock?
Yeah, I
they
think
call
so.
it, and that was not built in 1905 to have all the barges full of coal to come upstream and feed all the power stations. That was quite interesting. I don't suppose you see that anymore, but yeah, 1905. Next to that is the normal, what they would call the Thames lock, which is probably the size of the next one up, which is Molesey lock. The normal sort of.
Yeah, it's still a big lock.
Still quite big, but you know, it's not massive. You'd only get 3 of us in there. And then after that, they've got the skiff lock, wasn't it?
Yes.
Which he calls the coffin lock. Because it's like the size of a coffin. It's only about 12 foot long and 12 foot wide, I think, or 10 foot wide. But it hasn't been used in years, and he said health and safety would write it off if they tried to use it. So they're not allowed to use that one anymore.
But is that for sort of canoes and stuff
Well,
like
the
that?
smaller
really?
little boats, yeah, but they say they don't ever use it.
No.
He said it's unserviceable really, and they won't spend the money to get it back up. They just pack everyone in the medium one.
Didn't you say he said something about Richmond lock is the lock that stops?
Yeah, there's a half on the tidal Thames. There's what they call a halfway lock in Richmond, and it's actually a bridge, isn't it? It's a bridge, and it has sluice gates that drop down just after high tide. About 2 hours after high tide, they drop down and basically block off the river so that you can always move on this end. And then if you wanted to go further, you have to go through the Richmond lock. But he said there's no point because you'll get through it, and then you've got a little tiny channel because the tide's gone out.
Yeah.
So he says you wouldn't want to go through that. But it was quite interesting.
But didn't he also say that before Richmond Lock was built, that would have been tidal all the way to
all the way to Teddington? But he said before all the locks were put in, the tide going out went all the way up to Thames. So he says you'd have a big wash when the tide was coming in. You'd have a big bore wave coming all the way from the mouth of the Thames all the way up to Thames, which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a sight to be seen.
It's amazing. Yeah.
We'll have to go through it at some point, but
we will do. We're going to do the Grand Union for a bit. We'll go and do that.
I don't know. I was expecting to
you were like,
the other side of the lock and also see waves and
whales.
Yeah. Dolphins. No.
There was apparently
there's a seal this morning.
A big seal down that end.
Yeah.
One of the rowing clubs reported a big seal. But we weren't down that way.
No,
We'd have to walk down there or ride down there one day.
But it's nice going to see something, like going somewhere
new,
different, something new, and just
learning about everything.
The scale of it was.
We'll go back.
Massive.
Yeah, we'll go back because they've shut it. Because normally you're allowed onto the Lock Island. There's all tables there, and I think they sell coffee and cakes, but it's all closed.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, so there's no public access, so we couldn't get onto the island to take some decent pictures of all the other locks. It's a little bit sad really. So hopefully this thing that's stopping us will it'll all blow over and we'll have a cup of tea, go down to Winchester. And we might be able to get on there one day and have a real good look around and get in the office and have a mooch. It's good fun.
So Teddington Lock. Amazing.
Enjoyed that day out.
Yeah, just to even just go and visit it, it's just sort of flabbergasting the size of it.
It's
really.
a big bridge as well, isn't there? Going across into the other side. Nice
suspension bridge,
nice little towny, so I don't know if it's a town or whatever, but there's a high street with lots of coffee shops.
Yeah. So that was Teddington Lock.
It was a nice weekend.
So hopefully you enjoyed that little trip with us and our near crash of sailboats. Like always, like and subscribe and hit the bell icon. And next week's vlog, fingers crossed, will be how we get power on our boat.
electricity.
Electricity.
Lack of.
So we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.